Hi lovelies, welcome back to this channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda's channel. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload a video, you will be the first person to be notified. And to my returning subscribers, thank you so much for all the love and support. To those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate you guys are the real MVP. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Alright lovelies, let's dive into this video. So lovelies, I came across this video on my For You page on TikTok, and of course I thought to share with you guys where this pan-colored man was actually come for by his brothers and sisters, all because he was talking about reparations and how he feels that Black people needs reparation. I'm just gonna roll his clip as well as some of other stitches I was able to put together. Please leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video.
When was the last time you discussed reparations? Reparations for the Black community. Reparations for the Indigenous communities. Little known fact, the Indigenous communities never actually received reparations. If someone stole your house and murdered all but one of your entire family and then gave you back the smallest room to the house and said that that was reparations, would you feel like amends was made? The Indigenous communities of the Americas never received reparations. And then the Black communities suffered from race-based intergenerational chattel slavery, Jim Crow laws, and the new Jim Crow. Not to mention the systematic rape, torture, cannibalism, genocide of these different communities for almost 600 years now. Reparations and land back. Learn up.
Come on now, even if that was 100% true, it wasn't the different African nations who put Black Americans through 244 years of race-based intergenerational chattel slavery, which included rape, torture, cannibalism, and mass genocide of Black Americans. And it wasn't the different African nations who put Black Americans through 105 years of Jim Crow laws and Black codes, which included the systematic enslavement, imprisonment, torture, and genocide of Black Americans. And it wasn't the different African nations who put Black Americans through the new Jim Crow, which includes the systematic enslavement, imprisonment, redlining, and genocide of Black Americans. Reparations are long overdue for the Black community, and it's time that the United States pays up. Learn up.
I will wire anyone who can prove that Native Americans received reparations $50. The indigenous peoples of the Americas never received reparations. Y'all talk about land and free college and healthcare and checks. As for the land, how can you give someone something that's already theirs? And when it comes to the casinos and college and healthcare and checks, either the nation itself built it from the ground up, or they forced the government to give them restitution. The indigenous peoples of the Americas have been fighting colonization for roughly 600 years. And if you don't think that the different indigenous nations are still fighting colonization to this date, I encourage you to educate yourself, because too many people believe that Native Americans received reparations when only a handful of tribes received a small amount of restitution. Learn up.
Spoke to a Democrat the other day. They said that they weren't fully on board with reparations for Black Americans because their family immigrated to the United States in 1906. Why should his generations of hardworking family members have to pay reparations? I explained that white people own the majority of wealth and they built it on the backs of Black Americans. However, just because the majority of the wealth belongs to white people, it doesn't mean that that wealth is spread out amongst the majority of white people. That wealth belongs to a handful of individuals, the ones who never actually had to work a day in their life, the ones whose wealth has been passed down to them through generations, the ones who exploit the average American worker for their labor and make billions of dollars off of their blood, sweat, and tears. I'm talking about using their money as reparations. Learn up.
Then why do we pretend the people and systems who committed those atrocities are magically gone?
Because the people who control the system look like the majority of those living in this country. And although over 70% of the United States classifies themselves as white, most of us are members of the working class. The ultra-wealthy found a way to control and manipulate the American people based on race. So even though most white Americans are not members of the club and are a part of the working class, we still listen to the ultra-wealthy because they look like us. It's the same concept as why men listen to men about women, but don't listen to women. Just because the ultra-wealthy might look like us does not mean that they're on our side. But ever since our ancestors assimilated into whiteness, we've been listening to them.
And whether you're a conservative or a liberal, you still fall into this trap. And when it comes to racial integration, I absolutely support it when its purpose is not to assimilate black and brown people into white supremacy. By that, I mean once racial integration happened in the United States, black and brown children started being taught whitewashed history. White America has tried to pacify black and brown people. Instead of giving reparations, they were forced into assimilation. As always, y'all remember to learn up. Why don't you think black Americans deserve reparations? Don't you think black Americans deserve compensation for the centuries of oppression and injustices that they have faced? Slavery may have ended, but racism and discrimination did not. Black Americans still face systemic barriers and disadvantages in education, employment, healthcare, criminal justice, and wealth. Reparations would close the racial gap and create more equity and justice. First of all, slavery was over 150 years ago. None of the people who are alive today were slaves or slave owners. Why should they pay or receive money for something they had nothing to do with? You're missing the point. Black Americans have a unique history and experience in this country. They were brought here against their will, enslaved, tortured, raped, cannibalized, lynched, discriminated against, and segregated. They built this country with their blood, sweat, and tears, and have never been compensated or received recognition for it. Reparations would be a way of acknowledging their pain and suffering and recognizing their humanity and dignity. It would also be a way of healing the wounds of the past and moving forward as a united nation. That's a bunch of nonsense. There is no such thing as systemic racism. Black Americans have the same rights and same opportunities as everyone else. If they work hard and follow the law, they can achieve anything they want. Reparations would only create more division and resentment among races. And it would be unfair to other minorities who also suffered from oppression and discrimination. Why should they be left out? That's cynical and pessimistic. Reparations would be a positive step towards reconciliation. And there are many ways to design and implement reparations, such as direct payments, tax credits, scholarships, grants, land, community investment. Reparations for Black Americans would not just help the Black community, but society as a whole.
Like, seriously, lovelies, it's so ironical the way at which some of these pan-colored people frowns at the mention of reparation. Like, they tend to give thousands and millions of reasons why they felt that the enslaved people and their descendant, does not deserve reparation. So this young man was just talking about how and why is it that reparation is not something that a lot of people, especially pan-colored people, are not talking about. And in his comment section, there are so many way and says pan-colored people even trying to attack him for mentioning the phrase reparation. But you guys are comfortable enough for this said, government to use any wealth that must have been accumulated through your tax and all of that to support WAR that is happening over there, even in Gaza and all of that. So you guys are very comfortable to support or to rather spend your money to something that will not yield any fruit. You rather support JOC that is going on in a said country that not even yours. So you rather support the JOC than paying reparation. Because a lot of people are like, where do you want to get money for reparation? How do you want us to pay for reparation? Why would you want us to pay for something that our ancestors that is long gone, And someone was even talking about how if they want reparation, they should go back to Africa and get it, because Africa kings or wherever sold them to these enslaved people. These people and their descendants are the people that built whatsoever benefit You are benefiting from being, a citizen of the said country. But you, on the other hand, the masters or wherever that own these enslaved people received reparation. But the people that put in the work, the energy, the suffering, and all of that were just let go like that without any form of compensation. And your children, great grandchildren, even the ones yet unborn, will still be benefiting from the sufferings of, the descendant. Like, seriously, it's not as if, reparation is you just, keep going to people's houses or pan-colored people's houses to tell them to pay a particular amount of money to black people's account and all of that. You can start by at least free healthcare. You can start by something very basic, or you can start by anything that will just, compensate these people. How is it that every other person, received reparation? Every other people received reparation, but that of black Americans, it's always stories about story. But how is it even possible? How is it possible? That is why most of other POCs that receive reparation, they often come here and like, why is it that black people are just making this about themselves, or every other person went through slavery and all of that? But these same people never receive any form of compensation, but you did. And these are the people that went through the worst, like seriously. And I like the fact that some people like this pan-colored man, I stitched his video, he's just trying to educate his naive or whatever people they call themselves. At least, if we can get people like this, I think the world can be a better place. Anyways, lovelies, why not just leave me your own thought in the comment section? Because I saw this, I was like, okay, let's just put it here and also deliberate on it. Please share this video, subscribe to this channel if you're here to do that, and I will see you lovelies when I if you have watched up to this extent. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video, and do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying, harassment, or whatsoever. We're just here for educational purposes. So please share this video, subscribe to this channel if you're here to do that, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.